Okay. So who was telling the story? Who was retelling?
Oh, yes, probably both.
Okay.
I'll do.
Okay.
He had a story. He didn't watch a movie much, so he couldn't remember. But it was a story about doing a fishing. So, yeah. Sorry, mate. wasn't a movie story though.
Okay.
Was a real story.
Okay.
So when he was young, he went out fishing with his woman, girlfriend, whatever. In those days.
Competition in the family
Yeah.
now.
So, and with his dad, so they went, and the woman was fishing, and then she got a fish, but when she done the line, instead of a fish, it was just a shoe.
It was a true story. Yes.
That's what he told me.
Was that the girl?
Oh, I don't know. I didn't ask that part.
She seemed excited. Must be the girl.
Oh.
Okay, that's good. So you listened and you could retell. Okay? So if you notice, it was a story that the person told, and you could remember the story and you could retell. Isn't it? That's why I say tell about a story. So imagine if you share the gospel like a story, because Jesus does that, isn't it? You notice that he talked about the prodigal son, it was a story. He talked about the Samaritan man who was beaten up on the way. So all the time he's telling a story. So if we can tell our gospel as a story, and you just remember that story and could retell, people can remember and you can retell. You understand? So it's so important if we can translate. The gospel message will be the same message. Jesus died on the cross, rose from the dead, paid the penalty for sin and made us right with God. That is the same. But we have all these stories to make it easier for people to remember. You see that? Yeah. So that's the whole exercise of this storytelling. Because you need to be a good storyteller. Okay? Good. Now, let's carry on. One of the things you got to do when you are sharing is what? You got to smile. You got to be friendly. And don't be a grumpy Christian. Don't be that all the time. Okay? Be smiley. And don't complain about things. Don't say work is tough. Oh man, I have to go every day 9 o'clock. Maybe 5 o'clock in the morning I have to get up. It finishes at 10 o'clock, night time. So we complain and complain. That's not a good idea if you're a Christian. Don't complain. Okay? Next. Now, if there is a person that you want to share the gospel, what do? Invite them over to your house to have a coffee, and you need to be generous. Pay for them. How many of you got coffee club card? Pastor, the only one.
Surely you got one.
Yeah. So have a coffee club, okay? It's $25 a year, and you buy one, you get one free. So I do that a lot because it's quite easy. Okay. Next. Listen more and speak less. Why? Because God gave us one mouth and 2 ears, not 2 mouths and 1 ear. But sometimes you behave like the other way around, isn't it? As though it is always 2 mouths, especially Indians, I think.
Oh, especially
Indians.
female.
Especially female? I didn't say that, huh? He's allowed to say, I guess. Okay, yes. Next, ask permission to pray, because that's one of the things you got to do. Before you share the gospel, if there's opportunity to pray for the person, pray for the person. So be heart connection, not hate connection. We are so eager sometimes to share the gospel that we don't connect with the person with the heart. Okay? In your heart, you're going to love that person. This is the one person that God has given you, right? Remember, you prayed, this is the person, so you share with love. Next. Share your testimony about what God has done in your life. Okay. So how many of you have a testimony or a story that you can tell? Okay. Good. So I'm not going to ask you to come and do. I'm going to give you a demonstration of a testimony. Okay. Because now you're going to be writing your own testimony. Okay. But before writing the testimony, I want to ask you the meaning of witness. Remember earlier I said that all of you are a witness. You are, right? So what is the meaning of witness? When I say you're a witness, what does it mean?
Somebody is got healed and you give a testimony and somebody came for prayer and somebody said he was with you, he is your witness to explain with other people.
Yes, but what about you as a person sharing the testimony and you are the witness? So what are you going to tell?
You have to bring the name of the person who got healed, so at least if the person makes another person can say, I got healed, and from there,
Okay.
and
So it's your experience of what you have seen and heard. So witness means a person who saw what happened, experienced what happened, and heard what happened. So that is witness. So you have seen Jesus do miracles. So that means seen. Okay, you heard them saying, "Oh, I'm healed. God solved this problem for me. I'm happy now." So that is their testimony telling you, and the experience that you had during the entire process. Okay, so that is being a witness. So all of you are a witness of what Jesus has done in your life, isn't it? Okay, now before you write, I'm going to read to you two testimony, and I want you to choose one. And remember, this testimony is a testimony that you need to tell to a non-believer. It's not for your believer group. Because what happens every Sunday, there is testimony here, right? Isn't it? Every Sunday morning service. So this is a context of what? All of you are believers. But when you go out to the mall, to the hospital, or to your family, or to your friends, they are not believers. So can you tell a believer type of a testimony? Okay, I'll give you an example. What a believer type of a testimony looks like, and then you decide, can you tell this to an unbeliever? Okay, I'm going to read to you. I grew up in a church. In fact, I went to church every Sunday. I sang worship songs. I read the Bible. I prayed. And one day at the age of 14, in an Easter camp, I met the Holy Spirit. The presence of God was so strong. I was slain in the Spirit. I fell down. I got up. I started weeping. And I was convicted by the Holy Spirit. So I cried out and I said, God, please forgive me. And after that, I was never the same. And I started to realize that I need to read the Bible. So I started reading the Bible and I started having a relationship with God. Every day I would read the Bible and the Bible became real. And the Holy Spirit started to talk to me and reveal the deep meanings of the Word. And now I'm so intimate and I know that I can be with God if I die. Okay, this is one testimony. Okay? Now, second testimony. Last month, I lost my job. There was a company restructure and I was made redundant. This is after 5 years I was working. And now, all of a sudden, I was made redundant. I was so disappointed. I felt so down and I panicked. But thankfully, I have a relationship with God. So, when I had a relationship with God, despite my difficult circumstances, God gave me peace, God gave me courage, God gave me direction on what to do. He comforted me, He strengthened me, and He said to me that everything will be all right. And I can trust Him because I have a relationship with Him. Now, 3 weeks later, after applying for many positions, all of a sudden I got a phone call and I was asked for an interview. I went for an interview and I passed the interview, and before I know it, I was given a new position. And this new position was much better than the previous one. If only I knew that it will end this sweet, this well, I wouldn't even have complained. But I know now that I can depend on God because I have a relationship with God. Okay, which testimony between the two would you tell a non-believer?
B.
Number 2. Why? Give me feedback. Why?
They don't know Holy Spirit.
They don't know Holy Spirit, yeah? What else?
He experienced.
Sorry?
He experienced God. Intervening in him.
God intervened
Yeah.
in the second one,
Yeah.
a bit more, isn't it?
Yeah.
In the first one was more about the person's experience in the camp, in
Yeah.
falling down, a lot of like emotions.
Yeah.
Can you help someone with your emotion?
Mm.
No. But if you ask, a lot of people do that. Believers will go and tell other people the believer type of testimony. It was 5 years ago, I went to church, suddenly the pastor called me out, he lay hand, I fell down under the presence of God, and then I got up, I'm no more the same, I was weeping, I was crying, and I couldn't take my cigarette again anymore. I got rid of all my addiction. You know, they tell all these things, but for a non-believer, they're like, ooh, church? I don't want to go to church. Is it only in church God helps you? So they have this mentality that church is the only place God helps. Whereas this person, what? He lost a job, and can losing a job will be a common thing right now? It's going to be, right? Coronavirus. People are going to lose job. So imagine if you tell a testimony that you lost a job, but you had peace. God helped you. You have that thing. Relationship. Keep talking about relationship with God. So when you give hope like that, and God came and I have peace and I have direction, so people will be like, wow, I need that. I need peace. I need direction. I need that hope. Wow, this man has experienced God. Especially now, you're all in a hopeless situation if you're not a believer. Okay? If you're a believer, you have hope. So this is a better testimony. You see? So now that you know, I'll give you 5 tips on how to write a good testimony, and then I'm going to give you a fresh set of booklets. Okay? And I'll take you to I'll show you the page in a moment. Okay? And then you write your testimony in that book. Okay? Okay, now, tip number 1. Think of an incident or a situation when God helped you. Okay, it could be last week, it could be last month, it could be last year, anything, it could be 5 years ago. But it's not about your conversion in the church. Remember that. It's about God helping you in a situation. Maybe you fell down, broke your leg. You thought that's it, finished. But then you learned that God can heal. Or maybe God didn't heal you immediately, but you were walking with Him. And He was walking with you. He was giving you comfort. So tell about that. That He gave you peace. Okay, so incident, any situation. Maybe you lost your job, maybe you, lost a loved one. That can happen. Sometimes we lose our loved ones. Okay, so think of an incident, situation where God helped you. Next, how did God help you? What did He do for you? Very important to ask that question. What did He do for you? Did He give you peace? Did He give you direction? Did He comfort you? So that you need to write down that. Okay? Did He give you hope? Next, how did God's help impact you? When God helped you, how did you feel? Did you feel peace? Were you worried? No, right? So what was your feeling, your emotion? Next, make sure it is God-centered testimony. Don't make your testimony about, I went to that place, I took a bus, it was $2, and I paid with my tag card. So you tell all the, what you did rather than what God did. So sometimes you can be very long-winded about your experience of reaching to a place rather than what God is doing in your life. Okay? And finally, end your testimony by saying this: more than this, I have assurance that if I were to die today, I will be with God in heaven. Okay? So now, here is, can I have someone to distribute this? Give me more,